This is the Nightshade Cult, a podcast macabre.
We bid you welcome, enter freely and of your own will.
I'm Nick Grimm.
And I'm David Graves.
We will be your horror host for this dissection of George Wagner's 1941 Gothic horror, The Wolfman.
Good evening. Had you ever seen this movie before?
Many times.
Okay, I'd never seen it.
Yeah, this is one of my favorites growing up.
Okay.
I have spent much time walking around on the balls of my feet,
Oh, yeah.
stalking through the woods like the Wolfman. It was always a toss up between this, the original Frankenstein, and Creature from the Black Lagoon. Those are like my big three of the Universal monsters.
Okay, that's interesting. No Dracula.
No, Dracula's so boring.
Okay.
I thought Dracula was so boring, and then The Mummy is just Dracula with an Egyptian veneer put over the top of it, so equally boring.
Yeah. I was surprised, like, this movie, it looks full Hollywood. It was made for $180,000 at the time, which is only about $4 million today.
Wow.
Which is, that's a big difference. But a $4 million movie today won't look pro. I mean, it'll look good, but it won't look big budget.
Yeah, so this is kind of middle of the Universal horror period when they're cranking these movies out. Like, they have become a well-oiled machine making these movies.
This wasn't the first werewolf movie ever, but it was one of them. It was an early one.
Yeah, so
what was it, 1936?
Werewolf of London predates this. But it just eventually we'll cover that one too. That's a really interesting movie. It's more of a science werewolf than a magic curse werewolf. But it just never was. It was not as iconic as this one. This was the one that stuck.
Yeah, nobody writes about that original one.
Yeah.
This is the one, the iconic look, the makeup, the character design, and all of that. It's an iconic look. Like when I saw the preview, because I went and watched this on YouTube, just paid a few bucks to see the legit version.
I watched it on Peacock.
Okay, yeah, but that's commercials, right? Unless
just at the beginning.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess I feel like Peacock is like it's like the CW or the WB of the modern streaming networks. It's just kind of like, they have nothing I want worth paying for.
Yeah, I think the way they do the commercials is very reasonable. Like, where they play like 3 or 4 commercials before the movie starts, and then it's uninterrupted.
All right. Well, I tried to watch. This is total side tangent.
Yeah.
I tried to watch The Office on there because I hadn't seen it in a while, and they were just interspersed like a regular TV show. And I was like, hell no.
Yeah, because it has. Does it at least put them where the breaks
it
are
puts
built
them
in?
at the natural breaks.
Because what's really frustrating is if you watch on, say, like a Tubi or one of those Freevee or one of those things.
See, if this, go ahead.
And they just go at kind of preset times. It just kind of boots you out and runs an ad.
Yeah, I hate that.
And then you hit the spot where the ad break should be, and it just continues playing.
Yeah, it's weird when you watch TV that is meant to have commercial breaks like that, and you see the natural cuts and whatnot when you're just streaming it, and it's like, wow, okay, this show is old.
Yeah,
because
it's from a different time.
Yeah, new shows don't have scheduled commercial breaks, or if they're kept in mind, it's very subtle.
Yeah,
like the cuts, because they know that lots of people will just stream it straight through. There'll be no breaks. And I mean, like,
it's a totally different paradigm now. Seasons are shorter. Episodes are often longer. It's all.
Oh yeah. I watched a 90-minute episode of a show the other day. I was like, what?
Yeah,
crazy.
And the Stranger Things, they've gotten ridiculous where every episode is 2 hours long.
Oh wow! Has the next season come out yet?
Not yet. No.
I've been waiting on that. I did catch up. I watched all of it. Anyway, speaking of weird durations, this movie was 67 minutes.
Yeah.
It's a shorty.
It's quick. It is lickety-split, and
it doesn't have a B plot at all.
No, it really doesn't have a B plot. And, I mean, it's got a surprising amount of, character in it for a movie that's so quick. But I think that gets down to they had really refined this into a science, how to make these movies, which that speaks to that low budget that you said, because it's they know what they're doing at this point. The machine is grinding these out.
Yeah, I went looking online immediately afterwards for a replica cane because it's so cool. Like you can find them out there, and I even found one that was like it was actually a silver cane head. That was expensive AF, but you know that's really cool.
Like, with the pentagram on it. Yeah. Oh, that's I love the wolf head, the pentagram, all the iconography really cool. of this movie is just so up my alley. The clothes, everything about this is my jam.
Yeah, I was watching this, and I mean, spoiler alert, it didn't like Jimmy my jams. It wasn't like the bee's knees for me. It was good, but it wasn't like, oh my God. But I was like, Nick loves this shit.
Yeah. It is like I'm very curious as we get into this to find out what you feel about Larry Talbot.
I have feelings on Larry Talbot.
He's not a straight up good guy. He's a complicated man.
he's a gray character for sure.
He's a flawed individual.
Yeah, I enjoyed that about it. That this movie wasn't. I mean, I was about to say it wasn't black and white. It was black and white.
Literally black and white.
But the characters were interesting to me. Like I thought that even though it was short and sweet, I liked how the characters had depth and dimension, and they were interesting. I thought that was it was well written. There's a reason this is the classic werewolf movie. Not only does it look good, but it stands up. Like you can still watch it and it's still good.
Yeah. Should we roll the music and get into this?
All right.
After years abroad in America, the estranged son of an English nobleman is prompted to return home by the death of his older brother. Unfortunately, his homecoming is marred when he is bitten by a werewolf and its curse is passed to him.
Yeah, it's that simple. And this movie it plays on the same trope as the Nosferatu and all of that, where we have the Romanis, who they call gypsies in this movie. So we'll just go ahead and put that out there. That's just what they called them in this flick. I don't even think those actors were Romani at all. They just look like white people to me. But I am unschooled in these old school actors.
Bela Lugosi is Hungarian. And the lady who plays his character's mother is German.
You know what was hilarious? Like I was watching this and I was like, that guy looks like a vampire.
Yeah. Bella looks good with the big mustache.
Yeah.
Like, you know, I don't know if you've caught this, but as the internet has been very divided about the Nosferatu mustache, it is a source of constant debate. Bella looks good with a mustache.
Yeah. Okay. So I want to revise. I want to just a quick side note on Nosferatu. I want to revise my rankings. Eggers #1 Nosferatu.
Oh.
I went back and I was watching some clips and stuff of previous ones, and then some clips and some interviews and some various things. It kind of infects your algorithm.
Yeah.
And I didn't switch in new gears and start looking at new things. I just was like, okay, let's ride this and listen and watch. And I was like, yeah, you know what? I think it actually is the best one. It evokes the most feelings when I'm like looking and seeing and I think, man, that Bill Skarsgård, he's a scary dude. Although I love the team interviews with him and Eggers where they're just both there and like chilling
and very.
They're silly guys.
They're unserious men.
Yeah, they're totally like funny men. Like it's great.
And Willem Dafoe is a character too.
Yeah, Willem Dafoe and Bill Skarsgård. I watched interviews with them both there, and it's hilarious. And Willem Dafoe's like, well, unknown to many, but I also played Count Orlok. A little more comedic of a movie.
Yeah. No, I love those. Whoever has done their social media has done a great.
They're killing it, dude. And they have a merch game. You can get like stuff that looks like metal T-shirts and stuff. That's so cool. I was thinking about buying it, like with the big rune logo on the back that looks like a black metal band or something.
Yeah. No, I love
Very
that. Very
cool. I was thinking about getting that.
Okay,
anyway,
we did 4 episodes of Nosferatu.
The Wolf Man.
Let's get to The Wolf Man. Directed by George Waggner, as we said. Written by Kurt Siodmak or Siodmak. Where do you want to start?
Well, I mean, let's just talk a little bit about the writing. I think that there were some interesting tropes or interesting decisions that they made. Larry's a creep.
Yes.
Like straight up, Larry's a creep. He's like Orlok levels of creep.
He's there's a wolf in him right from the start.
Before he gets bitten by Dracula.
Yeah, because it is that sort of what was it? There's something we watched where they talk about it finds you. You know, like you don't.
What was that movie? We watched that a long time ago, but it was like from the 90s or early 2000s. Yeah, I don't remember, but it's like, was it just Wolf?
Yeah, maybe it was Wolf. It was Wolf. The wolf seeks you out. If there's a wolf inside of you, it finds.
Cultists, go find that episode because that was a good one.
I agree. Wolf is also a good movie.
Yeah. So we've done so many vampire and werewolf episodes, we just kind of forget about them, I think. But, it's still exciting each time. I still love these genres.
Yeah, it becomes part of the collective mythology together.
Well, I like that they all call back to each other.
Yeah.
That, to me, adds value. I really enjoy that.
So, something to call back to a couple episodes ago, Werner Herzog mentioned how what would be the father generation of German filmmakers left the country. They fled the country.
They lived in Argentina.
Yeah. No, they went to Hollywood. Because they're Jewish or
that's
gay.
Because this movie was made before the Germans fled to Argentina.
Yeah, that's after they started losing the war. Yeah. The war is, this is 41. The war is very much ongoing at this point. And Siodmak, a German Jew, and part of the metaphor that he was playing with in this screenplay was the way that he described the people that just seemed like normal people, like your neighbors, became monsters. Mm-hmm. And that is why the symbol of the star appears on the victims. He's referencing how Jews were treated in Germany.
Okay.
So there's an underlying metaphor or symbolism that's going on there that gives it another, even when you're unaware of it, it gives it more weight.
Yeah, I like that when he was writing this movie that he made the protagonist actually kind of a tragic character.
Yeah.
There's no glorification here. This is a curse, right? This is not a thing to be desired. And he was kind of, he was not a good dude to begin with, and he ended up, more not a good dude. It's a heavy role, and because it's a curse to be a werewolf. He's also even if it's just real life, he's the estranged son, right? He's the one that has been pushed out. He's the spare, not the heir. Yeah.
And he's only coming back and getting into his father's good graces because the better brother died.
Yeah.
And he's not really, he doesn't see himself as a nobleman. He's more of a blue collar.
Yeah, he's
mechanic.
An American guy.
Yeah, he's fully Americanized. I mean, literally everyone in the movie is fully Americanized. Yeah. There's no British accents.
I was waiting for some British accents.
Oh, one of the cops, the toady cop, has a British accent, and he's the only one in the movie.
And this is supposed to take place in Wales, right? Mm-hmm. And Welsh people have a very distinct sound, sounding accent. There was none of that.
It's like hobbits. Hobbits have the kind of Welsh accent.
Yeah, I only know Welsh people from the Great British Baking Show because they do really well.
Yeah.
I guess they love baking in Wales.
It's a sing-songy sort of accent. I mean, I don't want that to sound. I think it sounds nice.
A nicer way to say that is it's a musical language.
Yeah,
they're musical people.
Yeah, they are musical people. They have a lyrical way of speaking.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. And I was kind of hoping that, but then I was like, oh, is Larry like your token American? No, they're all Americans.
They're all Americans. Yeah,
that's okay.
Everyone speaks with an American accent, and that's standard. Frankenstein takes place in Austria. Everyone speaks with an American accent.
Yeah.
That's just how they made these movies.
Could you imagine if Bill Skarsgård spoke in an American accent? Just thinking of like foreign characters.
As Nosferatu?
Hey, bitch.
It just wouldn't have without the rolled R's. It just wouldn't have that menace to it.
Yeah, he would just sound like a guy that chain smoked too much. So yeah, the writing in this is interesting. I also really like that the focus on this of this story really is it's like an exploration of kind of like the darker nature of humanity, and he fights it, but he also kind of doesn't fight it sometimes.
He leans, it's very much let's just talk about the story. He sees this girl Gwen.
Mm-hmm.
When he's spying on her through the window with a telescope.
Yeah, it's creeper behavior. Not cool.
And then, fair play, it was an accident.
Okay.
But then he goes down there to the shop, not just to see her. He starts telling her details about her bedroom, which is very scary behavior. And then he's like, I'm going to be back here at 8:00, whether you like it or not.
Yeah, she's like, no, I won't be going with you. He's like, see you at 8.
Yeah.
But really, so if you're in your dad's place and you help him set up a telescope and you just, you look into it and it just so happens to be aimed at the neighbor lady's window and you see her in there or whatever and you're looking.
And she's not
nude. Yeah, she's not indecent or anything.
Yeah.
I mean, a decent person just immediately looks away.
Yeah.
And then later, when if you encounter her in the antique shop, you say nothing about it.
Yeah.
That's what a normal person would do.
Or you don't tell her things about her bedroom.
Yeah.
Because that is very I'm inside the house behavior. It's very scary.
Yeah.
It's
you could say something more vague like, "Oh yeah, I saw you from across the way. I was over at the Talbot Manor and I saw you over the window to window, blah blah blah." Just start up a conversation I saw you through the window. Hey neighbor,
I grew up here, but I've been away for 18 years. Clearly you were a little kid or something.
Yeah. She
when
seems younger than him.
Yeah, younger than him, but not she's not born within the time he was gone, probably.
No. She seems like, I don't know, if I was just guessing, the character 20. Was 20-ish, and he seems like, I don't know, 30?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. So, bad move, Larry, but she is intrigued by him.
Mm-hmm.
Regardless, it works. It still does work.
Is this the genesis of Leisure Suit Larry?
I don't know. It is a kind of behavior that I think we used to think was normal.
Yeah.
And nowadays we're less tolerant of.
I was actually having that conversation. Was it just that his persistence and his insistence, because he's doing it kind of in a nice, cheeky way, was that considered charming and I don't know, proper way to pursue a lady? Was that a thing in the 30s and 40s that nowadays that would be considered disrespectful behavior, not accepting no for an answer?
Both. I mean, I feel like it's very complicated. I think if someone likes something, it's going to be charming, and if they don't like it, it's going to be unacceptable. Do you know what I mean? And as a general rule, I say these are bad behaviors.
Yeah, don't do this stuff.
But she does. I don't want to say that she encourages it, because she absolutely doesn't encourage it, but she responds to it. So it's a little bit of a mixed signal.
Yeah, she didn't give him really strong rebuking, but I don't think, she shouldn't have to, but she definitely could have been a little more dismissive of his behaviors.
Yeah. I mean, she did do the smart thing and called a friend, so that when he shows up, there is a second person.
Yeah, she tries to set him up with her girlfriend.
Yeah, because that's the part we're leaving out, is that she's engaged to be married
to like one of his dad's employees.
Yes, and good job, because there's a class element at play here.
Yeah,
as
she's the daughter of a shop clerk.
She's the daughter of a shop clerk, engaged to the Beastmaster, or
he's like
the game master,
gamekeeper or something.
Yeah, whatever they're called. He's the guy that kind of tends to the woods or
kills
whatever.
the wolves and whatever.
Yeah, foreshadowing.
Literally.
And he's not in a position where he can be like, stay away from my girl, because he's like a serf, and Larry is from Talbot Manor or whatever, Talbot Castle. They run the town. You know what I mean? Like, they're the most important people in the town.
He's not quite like Ramsay Bolton.
Yeah.
But he, it could quickly go that way.
He is a little bit like, so just like, he kills Bella the gypsy, right? And his dad is basically like, he killed a gypsy in the confusion.
Yeah.
Like basically, come on, are we really going to...
Are we mad about this? Really?
Are you going to arrest my son because he killed a traveler? That doesn't seem like good business.
I mean, and he's like, so he saw a wolf attacking a person. He came and he hit him with the cane. He accidentally hit this guy who was here too, and he died. It was an accident. He was defending someone from a wolf.
He was defending a precious white woman.
Yes.
Like, it's very like, and the cop is like, oh, well, you kind of have a point. And the town, everyone is sort of like, there goes Larry Talbot, the murderer. But crucially, not ever arrested.
Man, did you see that Larry killed our old bro, the fortune teller guy? It's like, yeah, but he was fighting a wolf when he did it. Oh, okay.
Yeah, right. No one has seen a wolf in years.
Yeah. Nobody has seen any wolves. He just said he fought a wolf.
Yeah. So basically, the whole town thinks he got drunk and murdered someone and is getting away with it.
Yeah, that's like rich frat boy behavior.
Yeah.
That's like Brock Turner shit.
It's deep, though. Like, that's a story that is resonant whatever the era.
Oh yeah, class warfare is an evergreen tale. It never gets old. I recently saw a little it was actually a medieval style puppet show at an event, and it was all about class warfare. It was like this whole deal. So it just doesn't get old, because
it's the mother of the girl who she's killed by the wolf, right? Ginny? Yeah, Ginny dies.
Yes.
Larry kills Bella. Jenny's mother and all the kind of old biddies sort of have a smear campaign going against Larry. But it has no real consequences other than social stigma.
Yeah, of course. Like as soon as they're talking shit, and then he walks in, he's like, "What? What about me?
Yeah, say it to my face, bitch!"
And they all leave.
Yeah, because he's Sir John's son. They literally can't. Everyone in the village depends on the person in the castle.
Man, they gotta be real sad. Thinking about it, they're like, "Oh man, when Sir John dies, we got Lord Larry. Oh,
American
God.
Larry. He killed fortune-telling Bella. Ginny died. He's a nightmare man.
Yeah, they're going to be looking for a new place to live. Move to a new town.
Yeah. It's very interesting. What other themes do we have?
I think Larry tries to have a redemption arc. It's there is definitely that attempt. And another thing that I want to mention in the writing, I really liked that little the little ancient legend, the poem about the werewolf poem or whatever.
The Wolfsbane?
Yeah, that they all say, and that was an original creation for this movie. That is not an ancient legend, but it's really good, and it seems like an ancient legend.
And it has become an ancient legend.
It's like a thing in werewolf movies.
Yeah.
People say.
Yeah, when the wolfsbane blooms and the moon is full and bright. Let's talk about this now. Bella has some culpability in this because the full moon doesn't just sneak up on you. Mm-mm. It's reliably predictable.
Yeah.
You know when the full moon is coming, and you can take precautions.
Like the first time, I'll give him a pass. He didn't really know.
He didn't know. Yeah, but if he's been a werewolf for a while,
yeah,
he knows there's 3 nights every month. You know, you're going to go nutso.
Yeah.
Lock yourself up.
Got to do something about it. Yeah, I mean, Larry's a piece of work. So, I mean, I was kind of... go ahead.
No, I say... Larry tries, though. Like, Larry, his dad... He has his dad tie him to the chair. Larry at least makes an attempt to restrain himself. Bella is, doesn't realize it's the full moon until the girl comes in to get her fortune told. And is like... Oh shit! You're my next victim.
Bella definitely was. He was like an embrace the wolf.
He's a negligent werewolf.
Yeah. he's just YOLO, right? He's just YOLO wolf.
He's like I like to be surprised when I read palms and when I see the palm with a star in it.
And it was go time.
You're bad. Run, girl, run.
It's like I became a professional palm reader so I could see maximum palms.
I always know who my victim is going to be. Yeah, I wonder how long he did that racket where he's a palm reader.
That's good. So you want to talk about visuals?
Let's talk about visuals. Yeah.
I think so. Jack Pierce did the makeup here, and it's awesome. Like, this is the iconic part of the movie, like when he's in his full Wolfman garb.
Yeah. Jack Pierce, legend. He did the Frankenstein makeup. Like, he's the guy that's designed all the iconic monsters.
I like that. So this movie is called Wolfman, and I like that he is a wolfman. He's not a full-on werewolf, and he's not a wolf.
Yeah,
he is a man with some wolfishness.
Yeah, which is because Bella was a full-on wolf.
Oh yeah,
like Bella turns all the way into a wolf.
But the curse hits different.
It's different. Yeah.
Or do you think maybe the more people you kill, the more wolfy you get? That'd be pretty cool.
It could be a progressive thing, but I mean, spoiler, even though he seems to die at the end of this movie, the Wolfman comes back for many, many movies.
Yeah, he's in 5 more movies.
Yeah.
What is it? What was the actor's name? Lon Chaney.
Yeah. He's in a lot of movies. He basically, because he's one of the, Lon Chaney's the person that has played the most monsters. Oh. He's the only one to have played Frankenstein's monster, Dracula, the Wolfman, and the Mummy.
Wow.
But he also...
But no Creature.
No. He kind of stops working at Universal before the Creature, because that's 54.
Okay.
And, we'll talk more about...
It's crazy that we haven't done Creature from the Black Lagoon.
I'm holding it until the James Wan remake.
Okay.
I've got a plan. I've got... reasons for why.
No, I let you take the reins, and I just throw ideas at you.
Because believe me, I want to get to the Creature. I love that movie. But you were saying Jack Pierce's makeup.
Yeah,
he wanted to do this full makeup for Werewolf of London, and what's his name, Henry Hill, that played the werewolf in that movie, wanted more of his face to show, and he rejected this full-on appliance.
Huh.
Lon Chaney was game.
I think Lon Chaney looks cooler as the werewolf than as Larry.
Well, Larry's sort of like kind of a hangdog, sad
like
sack
a sleazy dude.
He is. He's a big boy. He's a little he's thick around the middle. Talking outside school a little bit. Lon Chaney Jr. had a drinking problem, and he's got the puffy face of a boozer.
He kind of does. He doesn't look, not to be fixated on looks, he's not that handsome.
No.
He looks pretty good as a werewolf, though.
Yeah, he's a very good-looking wolf and very put together. Like, I like how the werewolf always is wearing a button-up shirt.
I do love the button-up shirt.
Buttoned up all the way with a belt. You know, Larry changes and he's in like his undershirt and pants. The werewolf gets dressed before he goes out.
Yeah, I love that.
And that's consistent with the earlier Werewolf of London, where the werewolf would change and put on his coat and stuff before he left the house. Like, he doesn't just go out to hunt.
It's like, I have an image to maintain.
Yeah, he's like, I'm a gentleman werewolf. Yeah, so Larry, you know, he's American. He doesn't wear a tie all the time. We're less formal than they are over there. But he is a gentleman still, and he puts on a shirt before he goes out.
Yeah, I just think that I mean, at the time this was groundbreaking and it was really fancy and new, but even in the modern day, like, obviously you have CG and you have really crazy practical effects. I like this style of subtle Wolfman that's not like just crazy overblown. Yeah,
they do this lap dissolve where we're looking at his feet. Like, he takes his shoes and socks off for the first change. He takes his shoes and socks off, and his legs are extra hairy. And then we just kind of watch his feet slowly turn into paws.
Yeah, I actually really like that foot metamorphosis. I was like, wow, that's really cool. Like, I thought that was really neat.
Yeah, it's very innovative within the technology of the time. And it's super time consuming. That's the thing is, old Lon Chaney Jr. had to sit in a chair for hours while they would do makeup, shoot a little bit of film, do more makeup, shoot a little bit of film. And it's a fairly miserable process. And like you said, he did it over like 5 movies at least.
Yeah, I mean, I'm sure he just had someone bring him a Manhattan or something, just chilling out.
I think it was gin through a straw.
Oh,
like he'd be sipping gin while they're doing his makeup.
Wow, just straight gin.
Yeah, he was later in his career, he's a very hard boozer.
Okay. Man, I don't even really like gin. It tastes like Pine Sol.
Yeah, that's what people that don't like gin say. So while we're talking visuals, cinematographies by Joseph Valentine. It's almost like, I call it a gothic horror, and it is, but style-wise, it is more in the film noir sort of like costuming.
Absolutely.
Side. And I like, because you light those two things the same way. Basically, a film noir and gothic horror are the same cinematic techniques. It's just a costume difference. And I like the way the two mash with each other.
Yeah, it's really cool. The lighting and the way that they use shadows is really nice. And the way that they simulate moonlight, it looks like moonlight. Like, it's like, I know what they're doing here. This isn't just like they put a spotlight up there and whatever. Like, they diffused it, and it's like filtering through the trees in the forest scenes or in the city scenes where it's obviously a soundstage or whatever, like with the cobbles and whatever, but you see the fog and you see the moonlight coming through. It just looks really good. It's not hyper realistic. It's very stylized.
It's very stylized. It's the European Village at Universal Studios. If you've ever done the tour, you've ridden the tram through this village. If you watched The Good Place, like in the last few years, The Good Place is in the European Village at Universal Studios.
Nice.
So these sets are all still active. Like, they're still in use to this day. But,
crazy.
But in this time period, this is where they shot all the Universal horror movies.
Yeah, I thought that the lighting and stuff in this movie was just really good.
And art direction by Jack Otterson, set direction by Russell Gaussman, and costume design by Vera West. I wanted to shout her out because I'm in love with all the suits in this movie.
You know, I like the European guy's suits. I didn't really like Larry's suits.
Oh, Larry's double-breasted suits are the shit, man. Larry's a sharp-dressed man.
It made him look kind of sleazy, how it was all buttoned up tight kind of in the torso, and then it's like loose on the top.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just thought that it was either slightly ill-fitting or just they intentionally wanted to make Larry look sleazy.
It's the style of the time, that sort of boxy suit.
To hang a string of onions off your belt.
Yeah, like Grandpa, like Abe Simpson. Yeah, the style of the time was a boxy suit.
Yeah,
and because he's a big fella.
Yeah.
He fills a boxy suit, like, you know, he needs it for his husky frame.
I wonder how tall he actually is. But yeah, this just looks really good. So do you want to move on to audio?
Yeah, let's move on to audio.
The thing that really kind of the signature sound is the howl.
Yeah,
it's really well done. Mm-hmm. It sounds like a werewolf is supposed to sound. It's the OG, right?
It is so funny when you get to these old movies and you hit the sort of platonic ideal of a wolfman sound.
Yeah,
like his howl, his snarls.
Mm-hmm.
The whole score isn't on Spotify, but the main theme is, and they put like wolfman sound effects in with the music. And it's such just a good wolfman sound. Like, and you're just like, yeah, that's what wolfman
are
sounds
those like original Lon Chaney performances, or is that like ADR or whatever?
I mean, it might be ADR, but I think it's him. As far as I know, it's him.
That's cool.
Yeah,
because I mean, that stuff is really good. It adds a lot of value.
Yeah, and then Bernard Brown is doing the sound direction. But yeah, I think probably that's Lon Chaney doing the vocals.
Yeah, and we have Frank Skinner did the score, I believe, or
this was there's on Wikipedia you got 3 names. Hans Salter composed the score, and Frank Skinner and Charles Previn are uncredited. I think they're just Universal House guys.
Okay,
I think there's a lot of music in this movie that you're going to hear in other movies. But gotcha. The original music is composed by Hans Salter, who, again, it's another guy from Germany who has come to America.
Gotcha.
Like Herzog told us, everyone of this generation either became Nazis or got the F out of the country and came to America.
Yeah, I mean, makes sense.
Yeah, we celebrate these people who rejected National Socialism.
Yeah, come be an American. We'll take you.
Came to Hollywood. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, they use a little bit of Gregorian chant in there, add a little bit of like religious gravitas, and I like that. But overall, the I would say like the sound, the score for this movie, it feels super old timey.
Yeah,
like this is old timey. I mean, this is from 1941, so of course it is. But it just like this sound could have been Dracula.
Well, except for if we remember 1931's Dracula has no score at all.
Oh, that's true.
So like in 10 years we have developed movie scores, like, and to the point that like this one feels a little generic, like that just seems like a Universal monster movie.
Yeah, it does feel like that.
From 31 to 41, formula has been built.
They perfected this method.
Yeah, because 31, we're still sort of figuring out how sound fits into the movie.
Yeah, it's a talkie.
Yeah, and it's by 41, we have a crew. We've got 3 guys making music for this movie. We've got this lady over here churning out suits and dresses. Like, they've become a machine in that 10 years that makes these movies.
Yeah, and that's a good thing because it brought us to where we're at today. But I would say that makes these movies feel extremely samey.
Yeah,
and they don't feel special.
That is the, I've been floating this with a lot of people. the current version of this is the Marvel movies.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
The Marvel Studios is the old Universal Studios, and Marvel makes superhero movies, and they've designed a factory that churns out superhero movies.
Oh yeah, for sure. Like I watched the first few years of the Marvel, and then I was just like, okay, they're all the same. So and I just stopped watching.
And there's like 30 some odd Universal horror movies, same as the Marvel movies.
Oh, wow.
And when you think, you're like, what are the good ones? And you're like, Frankenstein, Bride of Frankenstein, Dracula, Wolfman, Mummy, Creature.
Mm-hmm.
So out of 30 movies, there's 5 you remember.
Yeah.
And that's, someday, like 60 years in the future, you're going to go Iron Man, Hulk, Captain America, Thor. Like you're going to do the same thing.
And like the first Guardians movie.
Yeah. You're going to have 5 or 10, maybe even that.
Well, because by then there'll be like 1,500 Marvel movies.
Yeah. Universal peters out or the monsters peter out, but when you're getting into the low 30s, that's kind of when they're like, this just isn't working anymore. I think we're on to Westerns, and they just transition and do something different.
For sure.
But Marvel's stuck with superheroes. That's all they can do.
Yeah, I mean, it is what it is. But it's all Disney now anyway. That doesn't really matter. It's all Jedis and Deadpools and whatever.
It's all one big thing. One big.
Can we get Deadpool with a lightsaber? Because that would be cool. I think I
don't see why not.
Yeah, they own all of that. Anyway, so casting. We talked about Lon Chaney Jr. as Larry Talbot, the Wolfman.
Yeah,
obviously, it's pretty much a movie about him.
Yeah. So first up, the name. He is the son of Lon Chaney, who was a famous actor in his own right. Lon Chaney Jr. did not want to use his father's name. Universal insisted on it.
Okay.
He had a bad relationship with his father.
Ooh.
Weird stuff. Like his father had told him that his mother had died when she hadn't. They had a very not great relationship. So he was very resentful of having to use his father's name, but Universal was like, you have to use your father's name. The name is
so how would you feel about that if someone was like, because you're an inheritor of a name.
Yeah.
If they were like, you wanted to use a stage name and be your own guy, and they were like, no, you're using your dad's name,
or you don't work,
or nothing.
You're like, well, someone's got to put gin in the thermos. Like the gin doesn't fill itself. But it gets into the sort of the tragedy of Lon Chaney Jr. because, he slowly pickles himself over the years. Like, yeah. Like he's a depressed, troubled individual.
Like Lon Chaney III is going to call us up.
He's like, you slandered my dad. I got it from YouTube. Lon Chaney III.
Lon Chaney III would be an old dude too.
Yeah. But I think that informs Larry. Like Larry's also has a troubled relationship with his dad.
Mm-hmm.
Larry he doesn't have an addiction problem, but he has a werewolf problem.
He does have an addiction. It's to blood.
Yeah. And so I think that real life pathos informs the performance. Mm-hmm. And it's part of what made this such an iconic performance because, it seemed like he's always just sort of one bad day away from being fully unhinged.
Okay.
And it comes through. Like Larry's legit troubled.
Yeah, he's off the hook a little bit. He's not really a stable guy.
Yeah, Larry's got one foot over the edge all the time.
So, then we've got just lots of people playing smaller parts, like Claude Rains.
Claude Rains is Sir John Talbot. Claude Rains is the Universal monster in his own right. That's the Invisible Man.
Ooh, nice.
He is a very famous actor of the era, and I like the performance very much.
Yeah, I do too. I thought that was good.
He's a man of reason, because basically
he's like a progressive dude of his time.
Everyone is sort of like, no one except for the old woman really is on board with this werewolf idea.
Yeah.
Everyone else is more like, Larry has some sort of nerves problem.
Like Larry's an American.
Yeah, something happened to Larry, and Larry's cracked a little bit, and he just needs some stability, and we'll get both his feet back on the ground. He's just like a very reasonable. He's like, oh, sure. He's like, I've heard of lycanthropy. It's a mental disorder, and maybe you're suffering from that. Yeah. I'm going to tie you to a chair and face you towards the window.
And he gets him a doctor.
Yeah. The doctor also doesn't believe in werewolves, but what doctor would? And I guess that's transitioned to Warren William as Dr. Lloyd, who, he's very much of the Larry's suffering from he's having a mental break.
Yeah, he has psychosis of some sort.
Yeah. And we just need to give him some patience, but with tough love, we can get him through this.
Yeah. I wonder why they didn't give him some laudanum or something.
Some drug.
Just calm him down.
Well, I think actually Dr. Lloyd was pro drugging Larry. It was Sir John that was like, nah, he needs to be awake. He needs to see us kill this wolf. I pointed him towards the window so we can show him that we're going to kill the wolf. And it's like, well, he's your son.
Yeah, Sir John's a good dude.
He's trying his best. And, when we covered the Joe Johnston Wolfman movie, they made Sir John into a werewolf.
Yeah, I liked that movie.
I do like that. It was part of why I rejected it originally, but I've come around to the Sir John is sneaky a werewolf also.
He doesn't have a badass manservant from foreign lands in this one, though.
Yeah, that's true.
That was a good ad.
That's a loss. Singh, or I'm just assuming. I think his name was Singh, and I feel like that's like an 80% bet. So who we got next? We did Dr. Lloyd.
It's like a bunch of small parts.
Yeah, Ralph Bellamy as Captain Paul Manford. The bad cop. I'll just say he's not a very good cop. He's not good at investigating. He's not good at arresting murderers.
See, I think you're wrong. He's actually an amazing cop, but only if you accept the fact that police only exist to protect the moneyed elite.
Oh, it's true.
In that light, he's amazing.
Yeah, because he fully defers to Sir John.
He's full employee.
He's like I should probably arrest Larry. And he's like, you shouldn't arrest Larry.
Yeah, Larry's fine. We'll get him a doctor.
He says, you have a good point. I shouldn't arrest Larry. The doctor comes in and says, I don't even want you to talk to Larry until he's feeling better. He's like, you know what, Dr. Lloyd? I won't talk to Larry.
Yeah, exactly. So, I mean,
he's just going to check out of this whole thing.
Captain Paul Monfort is an excellent employee
of the landed lord.
Yeah.
I got Patrick Knowles as Frank Andrews, who is the cuckold fiance.
Yeah, he didn't get full on cucked.
Close.
He almost got it. Almost happened. It would have happened if
it would have happened because she's like, "I love you, Larry." Like she's full on ready to leave Frank Andrews.
Yeah, she was like. When Larry's like, I gotta go, I gotta leave this place. She's like, hold on, I'll get some things. I'm going with you.
Let me pack a bag. I'll go.
I was like, poor Frank. Like Frank was a good dude.
He was
also better looking,
and he was better looking, but much poorer.
Yeah, he's hella poor. He's like a woodsman.
Crucially, much poorer than Larry.
So she's like, I'm going with rich, puffy Larry.
He drinks a lot, but I can fix him. And 3 nights out of the month, he's the monster.
But she had the talisman, so there you go.
That's smart. Yeah.
We got Bela Lugosi.
Bela Lugosi as Bela the Gypsy. Awesome.
Of course,
he rules.
When he is on the stage, he owns the stage.
Yeah, he's got such gravitas.
He's just powerful. He like Lon Chaney Jr. He's doing a journeyman's job as good Wolfman, but you can't have Bela Lugosi giving you those eyes.
Oh, the eyes are so intense, and the mustache just makes it better.
Yeah,
I like the costuming. Like the puffy sleeves and the vest. the Romani have style. That is a cool look.
It's a whole vibe, and
it is a vibe, and you kind of so like I read T.E. Lawrence's The Seven Pillars of Wisdom.
Okay.
And there's a whole like segment when they use the G word, but when Romani caravan kind of encounters them, and they bring party wherever they go. Everyone's excited in these sort of nomadic places when the Romani travelers come in.
Mm-hmm.
They are more exciting than the humdrum life that you have before they get there.
Time to run off and join them.
I live in a Vardo and, get a donkey to pull my Vardo. Become a werewolf.
Heck yes.
It's always been my goal to be a werewolf. So
and then you can go and kill vampires, because we learned in Nosferatu that they kill vampires.
Oh, that's true. I mean, we're halfway to Underworld, baby.
Heck yeah.
Yeah, that's the way to go. And so, speaking of the Romani travelers, we have,
it's Maria Uspinskaya.
Good job. Yeah, I think you nailed
Mileva.
it. Mileva, the Romani sorceress.
Yeah, she's rad.
She is rad and very frank, down to business. I like when she tells the priest what's up, when he's like, you can't have a heathen ceremony. And she's like, yeah, my son's gone on to a better place, or so you'd have me believe.
Yeah, that lady really did a believable. It was a really excellent performance. You're like, okay, yeah, she definitely knows magic.
Yeah, it is like the Obi-Wan Kenobi or Yoda, whatever the person that comes and drops the old wisdom. Mm-hmm. She comes in. They're the Van Helsing.
Yeah,
she's the keeper of the arcane knowledge, and she tells you like, no. You killed Bella.
And now you're a werewolf.
Yeah. Bella, you killed the wolf. The wolf was Bella. You killed Bella. And now you're the werewolf.
Damn.
Yeah. And she comes and she helps Larry when he gets his foot caught in the bear trap.
Yeah, she gives him the talisman.
Yeah.
She's a good one.
She sticks around when all the other travelers hit the road because
because as soon as Bela dies, they just like pack it up immediately,
and they're
like, oh shit, they're killing our kind, we're out.
She feels like a social responsibility. That was my boy. He was a werewolf. He killed some people and he made a new werewolf, and I have to guide this new werewolf into his life as a werewolf.
She's kind of like his Alfred.
Awesome performance. I think the last important one is Evelyn Onkers as Gwen Conliffe.
Okay. Yeah, I can get that. That's a good performance. She did a good job. Life is complicated. Sometimes you have a fiance and a rich drunk American comes and hits on you really aggressively, and for some reason, against your better judgment, he's still rich.
Yeah. You're like, I'm just sort of into this. Like, I shouldn't be. Dang. I'm a good girl, but I like it.
Someday that'll be my manor.
I know. She's like, who'd think from the antique store to the manor?
Yeah.
Moving on up.
Yeah, it was a realistic portrayal of a lady conflicted, and no judgment. People change their lives. It's okay.
Yeah.
But and she wasn't married. She hadn't signed the contract. Yeah. You can break it off if it's not the way.
And old guy, what was his name? Frank. She's known Frank since she was a little kid.
Yeah.
Larry's exotique.
Yeah.
Larry comes from America. He has a brutish accent. He smells of gin.
Yeah,
very exciting. He's not a woodsman or gamekeeper.
And Frank will do fine. He's tall and handsome. He'll find a new lady.
Yeah,
maybe her friend, that other lady.
Oh, she's dead. Yeah, werewolf killed her. Realistically, what's going to happen is Frank will continue. Let's say Larry never became a werewolf. Mm-hmm. He just moves in, steals Gwen away from Frank. 9 months, 13 months. Maybe even 3 years down the road, Frank and Gwen are still going at it. Larry's drunk.
Yeah, he's just out of it.
Yeah. And the lady of the manor and the gamesman or whatever, woodsman, they've got a little thing going on in the shed.
And he's the father of the new heir.
Yeah. And that's probably an upgrade. You know, that's reinvigorate the line, a little genetic diversity. It's
two common people. They're not even part of the noble lineage at all.
So, yeah, in a better world where no one becomes a werewolf, Larry's just drunk.
We should
Larry.
fanfic this out.
It's like a Downton Abbey sort of thing. And there's just no werewolves in it at all. You're like, it started from the Wolfman, but there's absolutely no supernatural elements. It's just a chamber drama.
Yeah, I think that would sell like hotcakes, honestly. But all right, so that's it with performances. And since I knew this one was going to be short, after we do our ratings and all of that, I have a list of the 10 best werewolf movies of all time. I figured we could kind of go through that, just as a little bonus feature.
Nice.
Before the vault.
I'm very curious.
All right, so what's your personal highlight?
I changed it last minute. It was Larry's first night, and I went to Larry's final night as the werewolf, the wolf hunt, because it's got everything. It's got Sir John tying him to the chair. It's got Gwen in peril. It's got Sir John is the one to finally dispatch the Wolfman. He takes his son's own cane and beats him to death with it.
Yes.
And it's brutal and sad. And like this is tragic for absolutely everyone except for Frank, who gets his fiance back. Everyone else loses out on this. Gwen's heartbroken. Sir John has lost both of his sons. Larry's his life has ended in tragedy. It is just like,
or so we thought.
He comes back for many sequels because the movie was successful. But it is just proper grim, and the old Romani woman comes and drops her wisdom there at the end, and it's just like, it's just everything in it is iconic. Like the whole sequence rules. So I'd say that the final night, the wolf hunt, Larry going after Gwen and Sir John saving her, but tragically killing his own son is my highlight.
Okay, that's a really good one.
What about you?
I mean, I went with the other one. I went with the first transformation night. Nice. It's so good.
That one is really good too. And R.I.P. the Gravedigger.
Yeah. Oopsie. Yeah, that one is awesome because it's quite a ways into, 67-minute movie, and you're like a solid 20, 25 minutes in before you get a werewolf.
Yeah.
And you're like, oh man, what's going to happen? Oh, and then it's badass. It's awesome. It really
rules.
It pays off. You feel like a good, satisfying reward for your patience. And then the Gravedigger, it is what it is.
There's a whole version of this. We're talking about fan fiction. There's a whole version of this where this is just a rich man with a drinking problem who goes out and murders poor people in his town and blames it on being a werewolf. And everyone knows he kills people, but no one does anything about it.
So that's not just fanfic. I actually attended a scholarly talk that referenced a bunch of old like Celtic and other Western European literature that was written about topics like this. And the prevailing theory that the lecturer was espousing was that these legends stemmed from PTSD warriors that had come back and then had lapses and committed atrocities, and it was considered a curse, and it was romanticized.
That is very interesting and good, because I didn't mention it earlier, but George Waggner is a World War I veteran.
Yeah.
So like PTSD is something that is in mind in this
absolutely.
story as well.
And it's like not just sort of like a weird fanfic idea. There's a lot of scholarly evidence that a lot of these the tales were related to warriors having lapses, be it with substances or not, and or just kind of freaking out, having manic episodes. Yeah, for sure. I could definitely see that.
Okay.
Sir John probably had another one when he was killing his son. He's like, Rah!
Well, and so the older son, who looks just like Larry, also died in a hunting accident.
Sir John. Yeah, that other version where Sir John's the werewolf. It's just a takeoff.
Yeah, it's the whole thing is a metaphor. It's
nice. So I guess I was gonna say, what worked for you?
Jack Pierce's iconic makeup. Plus the other iconography, the cane, the star, all of that stuff. The thematic conflict, especially like between the science and superstition. There's this constant like old world, new world thing that we see repeated in these horror movies.
It's like it's like the universal spectrum. It's like when you have like vampire stuff, it's almost all supernatural. You have Frankenstein, it's all science. Oftentimes the werewolf ones are in the middle.
It falls in between, Lon Chaney Jr., I think that, he was trapped by this role because he's so iconic in it. Because again, I think his real life haunted persona comes over into Larry Talbot and shows, and it makes it an iconic performance. And the fashion, I've talked about this a bunch. Menswear in this movie rules. Everyone is dressed flawlessly, whether you're Sir John or Larry or the police captain. Everyone is suited,
or Frank,
suited and booted. Yeah, and even Frank in his tweeds.
He looks good.
Yeah, because you're a Welsh forester, you still wear a suit.
Yeah, you have a hunting jacket and all this stuff.
And you just wear tall boots.
There's riding boots.
Yeah. No, so the fashion in this movie, A+. What about you? What worked for you?
So I was more brief. Obviously, you're more in love with this movie than I am, but I thought the practical effects, the transformation effects are, to overuse a term, iconic. This is kind of the OG, so I'm fine with saying that this is the iconic look. I really like this look, this type of werewolf. I really enjoy this vibe. I also I was kind of gushing about it a little earlier in the visuals section about the lighting and the shadows and how they effectively evoked moonlight in a werewolf movie. That's critical. Yeah. You can't just have it be a night. It has to be a full moon.
It has to be a full moon night.
And the fog really helps with that. And they really just made it super spooky. It wasn't spooky in like a modern cinema way. It was spooky in like, this is a play. This is like theatrical. And I really liked that. I thought that just those two things made this movie appear really striking in its own way. It has its own definite look that is still kind of referenced, I'd say.
Yeah, for sure.
So what didn't work for you?
This is a weird criticism because it's a story thing. There's no way that Bella doesn't know when the full moon is coming. And it just,
you don't think he's not just a psycho?
I don't think he's a psycho because he seems really sad about it.
Oh.
So I like your take on it that he's just YOLO, and when you wolf out, you wolf out. I like that as a sort of no prize explanation. But the way it's portrayed in the movie, it's like when he sees the star in her palm, he's like, "Oh shit, what night is it?"
Yeah.
And it's like, you're a fortune teller. You can't tell your own fortune what night it is. And it's the one, to me, weirdly, it's the one place that stretches credulity, where it's like, I just cannot believe that if you were a werewolf, you wouldn't have an almanac and know when the full moon is.
His mom would have been more responsible than that.
Yeah, because everything we see about her, she's very responsible.
And she would have been tracking that stuff. Yeah.
She's up on the lore. Women are very into the cycles of the moon and all of this stuff because of biological reasons and because of astrology.
They
know. And
she would have been like, Bella, it's time to go to your Vardo and lock the door.
And we put you in the cage. Yeah. And if he gets out of the cage, at least you tried.
Yeah.
But they didn't even try. He just goes loose every time it's a full moon. So that just strained my credulity.
Okay.
So that's what didn't work for me. What didn't work for you?
All right. So these things are just superficial.
It's okay.
It's old-timey hokey.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's a classic Universal monster flick. It's going to be old-timey hokey. It's like everything's a soundstage. Even the forest doesn't look like a forest. It kind of looks like a prop of a tree. You know? I don't...
It is either in the same village, European village, that every single one of these movies shot on, or it's on a soundstage.
Yeah, and that's just how these old movies were. It's not scary in the least. It's moody. Yeah. That's okay. And that's fine. And then my other criticism is that Act 1 is slow.
Oh,
it's not it's not that interesting. Act 1. After that, it gets rolling. Like basically, as soon as you meet Bella, like everything is it's off to the race. It's awesome. From there on, this just it starts off. It's like a creeper.
Yeah,
it's like reading like the first 3 or 4 chapters of Game of Thrones. You're like, okay,
except for that starts with the White Walker.
That's true. But that's the prologue where they're like he's whetting your appetite. I'm talking about like the first 3 or 4 chapters until they find the dire wolves. You're like, what's even happening here?
This is people eating lunch and
people doing stuff.
They're having feasts.
Yeah, so. It's just slow, and that's fine because it's a style of storytelling of the time.
Yeah,
it's not like today where you're expected to have some sort of like cool, rewarding moment within the first 10 minutes.
It's interesting because the movies are longer now, much longer than this, but also faster paced in some ways.
You have more like hits of cool things throughout the movie, and when you have multiple plots like subplots, etc. All right, so what's your final thoughts on your rating?
To me this is one of the biggies of the Universal Monster series. Film noir meets gothic horror, and 4 stars.
Okay, I'm shocked.
No, you're not.
I thought you were gonna give it 5.
Did you? Oh,
because it's an OG werewolf movie, and you're like the werewolf guy.
I didn't feel like a 5.
Okay, I didn't either. I gave it a 4.
Yeah,
so
it feels like a 4.
It feels super entertaining. Like I watched this, and like I watched this with my wife, like I normally do, and she was entertained by it, and that's saying something because a lot of times she checks out from the movies we watch.
Yeah,
and this was entertaining, and it was. I would recommend that anybody watch it. It's a quick watch.
That helps. That it's just barely over an hour.
Yeah,
really helps, and I think probably that's a big part of why I liked this movie as a kid.
Yeah, it's not
kid-paced.
Exactly. Yeah, it's not a perfect movie, but it is a good movie, solidly good. So what do we got for final the ratings around the internet? IMDb gives it 7.2 out of 10. Rotten Tomatoes gives it 91%, and Letterboxd gives it a 3.5. So we're sort of right there with them.
Yeah, we're in the ballpark.
Yeah, I think that Letterboxd is a little harsher than it needed to be on this one, and Rotten Tomatoes was a little more generous than it needed to be. So there you go.
It just comes down to who's logging these things. I think, especially anything that is pop culture-y, certain people on Letterboxd are going to judge it extra harshly for their artistic credibility.
Oh, yeah.
Letterboxd is just a bit more snobby.
Oh, absolutely.
And Rotten Tomatoes, if you're a professional reviewer reviewing this movie, you're doing it for Rue Morgue magazine or something, and you're going to say it's 5 stars.
So I've got the 10 best werewolf movies of all time, and I'm going to tell you how I came up with this list.
Oh, it's your list. It's not something you got from the internet.
It's not. Well, yes and no.
Okay.
I'm not a master. I don't even know if I've seen all of these. I've seen a lot of them, though. I did a search for the 10 best werewolf movies, and then I found other lists like 15 best, 5 best, whatever. And I compiled a list of a running total, and there were definitely common themes. Yeah. And then I utilized some AI tools to compile some things, and I just put this in the order that was what I would call the consensus order from many lists. Okay. So, do you want to guess what's the top ones or whatever, and then I can tell you where they're at, or do you want me to like start at 10 and work my way up, or start at 1? I don't know. How do you want to do this?
10 movies. So, okay, let me guess.
All right.
I'm going to say that number 1 is American Werewolf in London.
You are incorrect.
Oh, really?
That is the number 2 werewolf movie of all time. Groundbreaking special effects and a darkly comedic tone being the noteworthy things about it. 1981.
I would put at number 2, what's it called? Company of Wolves?
Company of Wolves is number 8, 1984.
That's way down there. Okay.
Yeah.
And I would say number 3, Joe Johnston's The Wolfman.
Joe Johnston's The Wolfman does not make the list.
Doesn't make the list. That's a crime. Number 4, Wolf.
Wolf is the number 9 movie of all time.
Way down there.
Yeah, Jack Nicholson.
I'm way off. Maybe show. Okay, let's just keep going with my guessing.
Yeah.
Now goes The Howling.
You think so? That's number 5.
Okay.
1981.
So I think I hit that one.
Yeah, I think you hit that one right in the middle of the pack.
I hit The Howling where that goes.
Yeah.
Okay. God, what else is there? Just as a hint, are any of the Underworld movies on here? Like Underworld 3, Rise of the Lycans?
No, none of that.
Yeah, so I won't guess any of those. What else goes in the big list? Shoot, Ginger Snaps. That's your number 1, isn't it?
Ginger Snaps is number 4, actually. Interestingly, because I actually thought that was a really good movie.
Yeah, Ginger Snaps rules.
Yeah, it's a great movie. We should do that one sometime.
Yeah. Curse of the Werewolf.
That is not on the list.
That seems weird.
Yeah, I think there's a couple on here that you're going to disagree with, but you also, this is a compilation list. Yeah. So
okay, well, I've given more than my top. Let's start at number 10. Let's work our way up.
So number 10, Bad Moon from 1996.
Oh, I don't know that I've ever seen that.
Yeah, I've never seen that one either. Number 9, Wolf with Jack Nicholson. Number 8, The Company of Wolves from 1984. Number 7, Late Phases, 2014. I've never seen that movie.
I've never seen that movie
So we need to see that movie.
Yeah.
Number 6, this is controversial because I'm not even sure this is a werewolf movie.
Okay.
Le Pacte de Loup, Brotherhood of the Wolf. Is it where I don't...
That thing doesn't seem like a werewolf to me.
I don't know. It's included on a lot of lists. It's a great movie. I really
movie
like
rules.
it. It's great. But
Mark Dacascos.
Oh yeah, I love Mark Dacascos. Yeah, and so I don't know if that belongs on the list, but it's number 6. Okay. Number 5, The Howling, 1981. Okay. Number 4, Ginger Snaps, 2000. Number 3, Dog Soldiers, 2002.
No, Dog Soldiers fucking rules.
I've never seen Dog Soldiers.
So Dog Soldiers is like Predator, but with a pack of werewolves instead of...
Oh, now I want to see that movie.
Yeah, instead of a Predator.
Number 2, American Werewolf in London, 1981. And then number 1, The Wolfman.
The original Wolfman.
Yeah, I could not believe it. It got the top 3 slots consistently.
Okay. I don't have a problem with that.
No, I don't either. It can have the top spot.
Some of those 2000s movies I've never even heard of, so they just weren't going to make my
Yeah, I mean, we should see them though because it seems good. I want to see Late Phases because I've never even heard of that.
Yeah.
I've never seen Dog Soldiers. That sounds cool.
Yeah, Dog Soldiers, Ginger Snaps.
So we've done a crap load of vampire movies.
Yeah,
let's do a werewolf run.
It's time to we've got to, we've got a new Wolfman movie coming out, and we've got a few werewolf movies planned, and we have a couple open spots on the calendar.
Heck
so
yeah,
we
let's
can keep rolling.
do this. Let's werewolf it up.
Okay.
All right, so that's the 10 best werewolf movies of all time as sort of compiled by me. I didn't see them all, so it's not my list. This is sort of...
It's a solid list, though.
Yeah.
I like most of that list.
Only Brotherhood of the Wolf is sort of a maybe, but it's a great movie anyway.
Yeah, I like that movie. It's been a long time since I saw it, but I like it for the action. I like it for the styling.
I watched it on an airplane a few years ago, and
really,
it stood up.
Yeah, the sort of French highwaymen, tricorner hats with the duster coats,
the jackets and everything. Yeah, this is really good.
Very slick, sort of. What year is that? 1999 or
2001?
2001. So it's in the Matrix.
Oh yeah,
era.
Long coats.
Everyone's wet all the time.
Oh yeah, it's raining constantly. It's very dark.
Yeah, that's a pretty cool movie. Yeah, that's a pretty cool movie.
All right, so let's take a break and then we'll come back with the Vault of Darkness.
Before we delve into the Vault of Darkness, we ask that all initiates of the cult follow us on your favorite social media platforms at Nightshade Cult.
If you've enjoyed this content, help us grow the cult by sharing it with like-minded people and leave us a review wherever you listen.
All right. Dark Tidings, you got anything?
My Vault recommendation is kind of a dark tiding from the vault. It's a new thing.
You can't pull a new thing out of the vault.
It's a fresh corpse.
You have to take it, put it in the vault, get it back out,
and get it back out. Yeah. So,
okay.
Yeah,
it's a combo, huh?
Yeah. It's so I got a new album recommendation.
Ooh, okay.
So I like new music. Yeah. I like. So this is a band called The Halo Effect. They were founded in 2019. If you Google them, they are considered a supergroup. They are from the Swedish metal scene. And interestingly, all 5 members are former members of In Flames that are not current members of In Flames. One of them is the founding member, Jesper Stromblad. And the other very notable member is Michael Stan, the vocalist who was on their first 2 releases, but also he is the longtime, forever vocalist of Dark Tranquillity, one of my faves.
Yeah.
So the Halo Effect is that 90s Gothenburg sound, so that melodic death metal with just like absolutely infectious hooks.
Yeah.
The songs that you just can't help but like bob your head to and just like start kind of singing along with. It's all of that. It's everything distilled from like 25 years ago. But it's a new band, the same guys that founded that whole scene, doing it again. Their first album came out in 2021, and it was really good, called Days of the Lost. And
so are they kind of a COVID project? Like they formed?
I mean, they formed in 2019. So for sure, but they've been really busy. Like they put out an album, they did a bunch of shows. There's several music videos online. They're signed to like Nuclear Blast, I think. So, one of the big-ish labels for metal. And then just a few days ago, January 10th, they released their second full length called March of the Unheard. And they had a song out, first single was out like a couple months ago called Detonate. Okay. And it was really good. And so I had high hopes because the first album was really good.
Yeah.
And then the second album came out and it has not left my play since on my phone. Since it came out, it is that good because I love the Swedish death metal. I absolutely love Swedish death metal.
So, since you're talking about that, define if you don't understand these things, what makes it the Gothenburg sound that you described?
So most people think of death metal and they think of like jun 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 jun.
Yeah. Guttural vocals.
So this is barely death metal if that is what you know of death metal.
Right.
This is fast and melodic, so it has similar drums, like lots of very fast, quick beats, even sometimes a punky beat with 4 on the floor with rapid snares. But the guitar playing is very thrashy and melodic, and they'll do breakdowns that are actually kind of like soaring, like with keyboard parts and stuff. The singing is the higher pitched death metal vibes, like Carcass and whatnot, the European death metal sound. It's still not clean singing. Yeah. It's but it's so much more listenable to a regular person than American death metal.
Right.
It's just very groove and melody oriented. You could whistle the tune to most of these hooks. These guys, the guitar players like Jesper Stromblad, he wrote the most seminal like In Flames riffs, and he's the riff master in this band too. So it's just extremely listenable, but still extreme metal because there's no clean singing at all. It's fast drumming, it's all distorted guitars, but they have like lush vibes and things because they have a full keyboard. They will sometimes let things breathe and use a sample. Yeah. It's a little more progressive than American death metal. I think that most people, if you like bands that do non-clean singing at all, like if you listen to any hardcore or whatever, or if you're a Slipknot fan, whatever is your thing, you will like the Halo effect, like for sure.
Yeah, so melodic death metal, I think, is an easy jump over from a Slipknot.
Oh, very much.
And it is an easy jump over from a metalcore, if you're into...
Like if you listen to like Lorna Shore or Ginger, or, like any of those like kind of new school metalcore bands, listening to Swedish death metal, all of those bands love the Gothenburg sound.
Yeah, like... So like if you take like a Lorna Shore and something earlier like a Bleeding Through.
Oh, they love Gothenburg.
Then the Swedish death metal bands are like in between. Like if you did a Venn diagram.
Yeah.
Because I know what you're saying, but I just like sometimes when you're talking about extreme metal subgenres, it's like... people just think you're just making up words.
Yeah, this is super listenable, though. Yeah. Like, Carrie loves death metal, but she also loves goth music. And so when we went and saw Dark Tranquillity, she just spins that all the time now. Yeah. And this is the same singer, and it's the same scene.
Yeah, Swedish death metal is very gothy.
Oh,
not to be a pun on the Gothenburg. The city that it comes from. But, yeah. Interesting. Oh, that sounds really cool.
I just think that's a great album that everybody who likes any kind of heavy-ish music should check out.
Cool.
So what are you pulling out of the vault?
I'm gonna stretch this a little bit, but I think this ties in really well.
Oh, by the way, mine was gothic horror. That's the thing. Gothenburg, gothic horror. That's my connection.
Yeah.
All right, go ahead.
It absolutely goes. The Incredible Hulk. 2008, directed by Louis Leterrier. It's the forgotten stepchild of the MCU, and I watched it recently, and The Incredible Hulk absolutely is a werewolf movie. The Incredible Hulk is a gothic horror movie.
That's true. Is this the one with Brazil and Ed Norton?
Yeah.
Yeah, this movie's sick.
Yeah.
Like, I actually like this movie.
I like this movie, and I think it's always like when people do like their Marvel rankings, it's always at the bottom of the list, and I think everyone needs to move this one up.
This is top 10.
Yeah. It is one of the classics. The only thing, some of the digital effects don't hold up. That's not the problem. That's just a matter of the time. Sure. You know what I mean? That's nothing to do with the quality of the film.
I mean, Edward Norton is one of the best actors in any of the movies.
So I feel like this movie is underrated and sort of underserved. And if you like the Wolfman, The Incredible Hulk is the Wolfman of superheroes. And the gothic horror element of it really struck me because there's a scene sort of towards the middle of the movie where Bruce and Betty Betty sees Bruce in the back of the pizza shop, and he runs outside and he's hiding behind the dumpster, and she's calling his name, and she's out in the rain, and her blouse is soaked through. And I was like, this is Bronte stuff. Like, this is so gothic romance. Like, you know, everything about the Incredible Hulk, other than the fact that it's set in the Marvel universe, is in the language of gothic horror. It's mad scientists, it's monsters, it's like forbidden romance. It is the werewolf movie of the Marvel universe. Well, besides Werewolf by Night, which is literally the werewolf movie of the Marvel universe. But a lot of people sleep on the Incredible Hulk, so I think that's worth pulling out of the vault and looking at. If you're a monster movie fan, and even if you don't like superhero movies, the Incredible Hulk is a monster movie.
Yeah, you know, when you said Incredible Hulk, I was like, oh, come on, Nick. Yeah. You could do better than Incredible Hulk. But actually, this is top shelf movie.
Yeah, it's good. It really is good. And like, it's, and you know, I also defend Ang Lee's Hulk movie that predated this one. It shows its age a bit more than this even. Yeah. But I think it has a lot going on in it too. But part of the problem is people expecting something else. Like, if you come to this movie wanting Iron Man, it's not going to deliver for you.
No.
But if you want Frankenstein meets the Wolfman, it's much closer to that. It's much closer to a classic monster movie.
I mean, it's Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde. I mean...
like it is playing with all of the tropes of the classic monsters. But it also is a good action movie. That opening, you mentioned the sequence, the stuff in Brazil.
Mm-hmm.
That shit holds up, like with the special forces chasing him through the favelas.
Absolutely. It's really cool.
Yeah, that's John Wick, proto John Wicky.
Yeah, it kind of reminded me of that one Daniel Craig 007 movie with all the parkour and everything.
Yeah.
Like, it's really good.
If you're sleeping on the Incredible Hulk, go on your Disney Plus and put this on. It's better than you remember it.
Yeah, pretty much everyone has Disney Plus or a friend with
or
it.
Or you're freeloading on someone else's, whatever. Put on the Incredible Hulk. It's worth watching. I promise.
We'd like to thank you for joining the Nightshade Cult.
Until we meet again, we're wishing you unpleasant dreams.